In this video I'm going to show you how to respond to an artist's work, the artist Marion Bolognesi, using either a primary or secondary source rather than just doing a straight copy of the artist's work. So showing inspiration, taking inspiration from the artist, but ideally using either your own photographs. Here I've used a secondary source image which I found off the internet. I have credited it. So I'm going to try to paint this portrait using the same colour scheme as Marion Bolognesi. So I'm starting off by just blocking in the lightest colours first, so the lightest values. And so starting off with just the palest colour. So there's a lot of yellow around the eyes, and there are pinks and purple hues around the nose and the eyes. So I'm just going to start off by blocking all of those colours in exactly where I see them. The shadows in the black and white portrait are very similar to the shadows in the artist's work, but it's a little bit darker on the right hand side, so I do add a little bit more depth to the right hand side of the portrait as I go along. So I've put in my yellow tones. I'm mixing a sort of mauve colour now, a warm light purple, which I'm going to water down, and again just looking at the original and blocking in where those shadows would be on the portrait, but using the same colours. So when you're painting using watercolour, everybody seems to want to go in with the darkest colours first, but I personally think it's better to go in with the lightest, largest areas of colour first and then paint your details on later. So here I'm blocking in the nose with the sort of purple tones that you can see in the original, and also there's quite a lot of bluey tones in the lips, so I'm just blocking all of this in, and I'm just going to keep on doing this for the next few minutes. So now I'm starting to go in with some more medium tones. So I've blocked in my lightest tones, I've allowed them to dry, and now I'm looking to see where the next set of tones are. So the medium tone, so around the eyes is much darker, much more detailed around the eyes, under the nose and the inside of the mouth. So I'm starting to just put these medium colours in, going in with an extra layer on top of my first layer and adding in any other colours that I can see. What I'm not doing is painting out any white areas, so the highlight in the eyes and the shine on the lips, I am going to keep the white of the paper rather than painting that white on top with acrylic, for example. So just trying not to paint out the white bits, just keeping the brightness of the paper. So working in layers, I am now blocking in my medium tones. And as you can see on the right hand side, I've darkened the side of the face just a little bit because the black and white portrait is a little bit darker. Okay, so I've zoomed in slightly for a little bit more detail because I'm going to now start adding the most detailed areas like the eyes and the nose and the mouth. I'm really going to start focusing in on adding some stronger colour in there. So I'm starting out with a little bit of yellow inside the eye, and then I'm going to paint the irises, which are a very vibrant blue. So I'm going to put that colour in, being very, very careful not to paint out the whites of the eyes, the highlight, sorry, on the eyes. There's a lovely sort of bright blue band around the edge of the eye, which I'm painting in. Just got to do that really carefully with the point of the brush. And once I've done that, I'm going to let that dry and move to another part of the face. Just finishing that bit off first. Blending that band in slightly. But then, as I say, once I've actually am happy with that, I'm not going to put the pupil in yet. I'm not going to paint the black bit because I want that to stay really crisp. So I have to let that area dry first. So just mixing up another colour. An even darker blue to edge those eyes. And get that shape really crisp. And then just putting a little bit more purpley hues onto and around the eyes because they are much darker and much more there's much more maroon on there really than I've put on, so I'm just adding a little bit more of that to give those eyes a little bit more depth. And as you can see, I'm leaving the eyes alone now to let them dry and adding some more tone into around the nostril area, just giving it a little bit more definition. And then blending that out slightly with a little bit of water. And adding a little bit more colour to the lips. So now with my eyes are dry, I'm going to go in and I'm going to paint all of the black in the picture. So starting off with the pupils, so I'm using a nice opaque black and just leaving the highlights in the eyes, not painting those at all. Just using the very tip of the brush. So just to explain that the reason I'm doing this is because if we do an artist response and it is a copy of the artist's work, then you are going to get some marks for assessment objective 1, looking at artist work, and assessment objective 2, which is experimental with media and techniques. but by using a reference material, a picture that is either primary or secondary source, you are going to also get assessment objective 3, which is using primary source. Now, this isn't this is a way to maximise your marks. Really, you are hitting all of the 3 assessment objectives in your sketchbook and showing. Although it's harder to do this, you are showing lots more skill rather than just doing a straight copy. So you do get awarded extra marks. So it's a good idea as soon as you can to start using your own photographs. Now, as I said, this isn't my photograph. I've credited the photographer at the start of the picture. I downloaded this just for illustration purposes, but ideally you would want to use a photograph you've taken yourself. It could be a self-portrait or one of your friends. So all I'm doing here is I am just putting in those much darker tones now, really the details that are going to bring that picture to life and give it much more dimension. So putting the darkest tones into the mouth and around the mouth and just spreading that blue out with a little bit of water, which is something that you can do if you find that you go too heavy with your watercolour. You can just get a little bit of water and spread that out. I go a little bit dark here, so I'll pick up some water and I just spread that out. Just adding in the last few details into the eyes to give them a bit more depth. And then adding the strong yellow that's all around the eyes. So this is a really nice opaque colour to add. Just popping that where I can see it from the original. So this is the last little bit and it's the drips. So what I'm doing is just popping a quite runny green on there and then trying to encourage that drip by adding a little bit of water into the drip. So adding more and more water, and then I tap it till it falls. Now unfortunately it ran into the wet at the bottom, so really what I should have done was to let that bit dry, but there's a lesson for you. Okay, and then the last little bit I'm going to do is some drips under the other eye. And then once that's done, I think I'm quite happy with that. So you can see that I've tried to recreate the portrait, the black and white portrait in the style of the artist. I think it's worked out quite well. Definitely showing Marion Bolognesi style anyway. So I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you in the next video.